Hi, my name is Saharis. I play on the Orsha server Tree of Savior, and this is a very highly requested build guide to my PvP wizard here named lewd. She is a Wizard 3, Linker 1, Chrono2 Warlock2. This build was actually made for me, so it wasn't something I came up with myself. Just keep that in mind. Also, something to take in mind here is that this build is pre-combat rework. So the stats, the skills, even the build itself may not be viable whenever the update hits in a few months. Right now it's April, and that update is supposed to come sometime in early summer. So I just want you to keep that in mind when watching this. This build is viable right now, it may not be later. So let's get into stats first. I am 100% full con, there is no other stat invested anywhere. And as a result of that, I have high HP and fairly high block rate. So that's the main reason you want that. The HP is useful for things against like bleed and stuff like that. It's just useful to have more HP, the more if you can, obviously. Getting into equipment, I use a crocus for the magic amp and the AoE defense ratio. The AoE defense ratio being a resistance to status ailments. The white cat ears, magic defense is the sole reason that I use this. The fire and lightning property attack do help warlock skills, but mainly it's the magic defense. And the heart candy is my pure mage gear. I also have that, which I don't use at all. And then that, for the same reason. It's useful to have if you need more HP. For bracelets, I always use glass bracelets for the magic defense, because there's mobs in later maps that are just really hard hitting with magic. And it's just useful to have. If you can't have glass bracelets, wizard bracelets are always a nice alternative, but upgrade them. Turn them into archmage bangles if you want. You know, just use whatever you have. You could even use those if you wanted because of the dark property resistance. I would turn them into revisions though. Equipment is the same equipment I use on all my characters. I have a versatile plate robe. I use plate on this character for the defense increase with yellow gems in it, not reds. Same thing for the plate pants. The gloves, technically these are the gloves that were on my shinobi, which is why they have a block penetration gem. With magic it doesn't matter because magic doesn't miss, except on an occasional Murmillo, but you could put any kind of skill gem that you wanted in here. Windrunners, chose the Windrunners for two reasons, movement speed and the 3 slots for yellow gems. For weaponry, I'm not 315 yet, so I can't use a Practonium weapon, but a 5 hammer with 5 red gems in it works just fine. This is actually your base weapon from level 40 until you get your Practonium weapon, which will be level 315. In that case, I would suggest either a windia rod, which you need to transcend it, or a Venazarus mace. So either one, whatever you have. Didal Tower Shield is a shield that I use. I do not use a dagger for this build because I have nothing to bop around. So using a shield gives me more block rate, more magic defense, more con. It's just an overall better choice for this build. For necklaces, I use an animus for the magic amplification. You could also use an agny or a petamion, whatever you call it, whichever you like. I prefer animus because of the magic amplification. So it does have the caveat of reducing your HP recovery rate. So, but it does have decent magic defense. The petamion, whatever, is good for the stats. And agny will obviously give you a small power boost, but you lose out on magic defense that way. Alright, going into skills. Wizard 3. Because this is a TBL build, it's very high on the CC. So, level 5 Lethargy, which reduces their attack and everything, and with the enhancements, is even better. Level 15 Sleep, because you want sleep to last as long as possible if you're a CC build. Reflect Shield, I personally don't use this, I had nothing else to put points in. Earthquake, level 1 to knock people over. Sure Spell 10, which means that you can't be interrupted while casting, but the major caveat here is you could still be knocked back, or knocked down, or inflicted with a status ailment, which will make this, you know, not useful. So you can still be inflicted with things. It's like direct attacks. If someone's like auto attacking you and you've got Sure Spell on, you'll still cast it. Magic Missile is your main attack. You only get it at Wizard 3. And it's fine. It could be better, but you know, what can you do? This is the reason you go Wizard 3. It's for quick cast, which gives you 50% extra magic damage. So, attributes, Plate Mastery Defense, level 50, because I'm using Plate. Reflect Shield, reflect damage. I don't use Reflect Shield, but, you know. Lethargy Enhanced, it increases the debuff by 50, which is pretty good. It lets them hit harder, it lets slash attacks work harder. I'm sorry, strike. 20% additional strike damage, which is good if you've got like a swordy partner with you. Magic Missile Enhance and quick cast magic damage. This is an essential attribute right now. As of the combat rework, none of these attributes may even be here. We just don't know enough yet to know what's here and what's not. So it's at your discretion what you want to get as far as up here goes. Don't skimp on this one. Okay, Linker. Linker is very straightforward. This is literally all the skills you can get. I had 5 skill points left over because I wasn't going Linker 2, so that's the reason I put them in Physical Link and Unbind. You could do whatever you wanted. As long as you got 5 Joint Penalty and 5 Hangman's Knot, you're good with whatever else. Physical Link, Defense. I personally have never used Physical Link ever. Oh, God, these shouts. Additional damage with Hangman's Knot, Splash Defense with Hangman's Knot, Unbind, enemy damage, Joint Penalty, Lightning, Joint Penalty, Poison. These are actually all the attributes you can get, I think. I may be missing one, which is another Joint Penalty attribute. But honestly, Linker is such a straightforward class, there's really not much to say about it. Okay, Chronomancer, you want Quicken 10, and the reason you want Quicken 10 is because... I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by the shouts. The reason you want Quicken 10 is because you have so few attack skills that you need, you'll be using auto attacks quite a bit. So Quicken is essential for that. Reincarnate 1, because if you time your Reincarnate right, it's fine with the 6-second debuff that it gives. Stop level 10, again, CC build. Slow level 4, CC build. And haste level 5, because that's just essential. That's how you chase down your hoes. Alright, Quicken critical rate level 5. This boosts the critical rate for 5%. Very useful for parties that have people like full dex archers or fencers. Critical resistance is, you know, very useful. Again, mostly in TBL. Use slow on somebody, and you know, hey crits. Reincarnate has a chance to reincarnate 2 monsters instead of the 1. Stop, control boss monster. It's very self-explanatory. You basically just stop a boss monster instead of just regular monsters as well. Slow, decrease nullification. Decrease chance of nullifying attack by 6% per attribute level. So, haste, increased evasion. It increases your evasion by 100. Stop, decrease SP, which should personally be part of stop in general. Alright, and there's a different variant you could go with this build at this point. You could technically go Chronomancer 3, Warlock 1. But personally, I chose Warlock 2 for the damage. Because again, this build does not allow for a lot of damage skills because you just simply don't have them. You could switch out Linker for Thaumaturge if you wanted more attack power. Or really anything. I wouldn't do Kino. You could do Cryo for extra CC for the freeze ability if you wanted, or even Pyro for more DPS. There's a lot of versatility in this circle right here, in the Linker circle. Alright, for Warlock, please bear in mind that I am only job level 12 for one thing. But for another, my skill points are already messed up. I should have only put 1 in Pull of Agony and the rest in Invocation. Okay, the way that this is set up, the build that I was given, basically put Pull of Agony at level 10, and the reason that I modified it myself is because Pull of Agony has a very long cooldown, and it's a very fixed area. Very, very small hitbox, and generally it's one of those skills. It's like, okay, I'm not going to rely on it for 100% of things. I'm going to rely on Dark Thurge and Mastema. So I only wanted to put 1 point into it. Once I get my hands on a skill reset, it's only going to be level 1. So level 1 Pull of Agony, I would do level 8 Invocation to have 100% uptime of it. Dark Thurge, level 10, that's self-explanatory because that's your major attack skill. And then Mastema, whatever you can get it to, which I think I can get it to 8 or 9. Evil Sacrifice, level 1. Drain and Ghastly Trail, this is up to you. I would maybe do 1 point in Ghastly Trail. Just for the farming aspect of it. Drain, I don't necessarily think you need. You could technically use it for the Dark Thurge cooldown. Excuse me, that's up to you. Totally your discretion. Alright. Attributes. Dark Attack for Warlock. The only major counter to this is Revision Bracelets, which people do use in TBL if they are against a Warlock, so, you know, you have your damage lessened. Pull of Agony Enhance, you know, duration, it increases the time Pull of Agony is active, which again to me seems like, you know, it should be already a part of it. It feels like a money grab whenever they have attributes like that. Invocation, Deliver, increases dark property attack of allies near the evil spirit, so basically it gives a dark property attack to anybody near it. Dark Thurge Enhance, I would get this as high as humanly possible. Well, it's up to you, because again, with the change, we don't know if these enhanced attributes are still going to be there. Dark Thurge Blind, absolute must for TBL, because you blind your enemies with it. Mastema Enhance, same reason. Mastema is not very strong in general, but it can take out people with 30k HP or less, depending on their magic defense, before the time limit runs out on it. Mastema Reduced Threat, this, I don't know if it was essential or not. It goes to level 10, but I probably wouldn't get it past 5. Pull of Agony Maintain, deals a minimum number of damage to enemies, another one of those attributes that I feel should be part of the original skill. Phantom Pain, okay, this is a Warlock C2 attribute, and to be as blunt as possible, it's the reason you go Warlock C2 along with Dark Thurge 10, because of the massive debuff it gives. You know, Invocation Demon Spirit, this just makes the Demon Spirit from Invocation much stronger, but it's not necessarily something you need. Excuse me. The beauty of this particular build is it can also be used for farming. You're relying on the Warlock Dark Thurge with Invocation to farm, but you also have the added speed of Chronomancer, so it's versatile. You could use it both in TBL and for PVE. Alright, let me show you a few skills. Haste. Quicken. And then that is Quick Cast and Sure Spell. Dark Thurge. Invocation. Oh, it's an enemy. Here we go. You basically just run into them to kill them. Alright, let's do Mastema. See the damage Mastema does? It's got 12 seconds left and mine's doing 5 to 6k on this squirrel. So, but whenever they die, an enemy dies and you have Invocation on, it leaves behind this little spirit. And enemies that run into it can be hurt by the spirit. Yep. So let's show you the combo that I normally try to do in TBL. Stop. Then you see this little counter to here shows you how long stop lasts. So sleep, slow, lethargy, Mastema, and then here's Pull of Agony. Yep. Alright. Let's do Magic Missile. Oh, perfect. Magic Missile has a ricochet effect. It's not strong inherently, as you can tell, but it'll ricochet off enemies that it's linked to. Obviously, single target enemies like bosses, it's not very useful. Alright, and then let's show you what's this skill called? Evil Sacrifice. So Evil Sacrifice sends your spirits wherever you want to send them to. So it's very useful for chasing down people in TBL. So that is basically the end of this build. Well, let me go back to cards actually, because I completely forgot. I would recommend for cards 1 Dullahan, because everybody should have a Dullahan card. And then Chapparitions to increase your own magic attack, because obviously as a full con build, you're not going to have a lot of magic attack to begin with. And then a couple of nuaels, maybe 3 or 4 nuaele cards, just to round out the lack of magic defense that you are probably going to run into. Do I have one? Yeah, that right there. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments or anything, please feel free to ask me in the comments, or you can PM me in game. I'm on the Orsha server. My name is Saharis. Thank you so much for watching, and give me your questions, comments, build theories, you know, what have you. See you later.